The fundamental philosophies and principles of the organization have stayed consistent since the start. It's about the membership. It's about us facilitating training that's going to raise the bar for the profession as a whole, facilitate that learning and that growth for people in the profession that are interested in what can we do to do a better job to prepare our people for the complexities and the challenges of the profession that they're in. We're an association that's committed to trainers and to training that also happens to run a world-class conference.
We have an entirely packed schedule over the course of a week. Every night at ILEETA is designed to get trainers to connect to each other and to the industries that support training and law enforcement.
And the environment here, and Ed was very intentional about creating this culture where it's a culture of peers. It should be on your bucket list of things to come. Once you've been here once, then you'll understand what all the buzz is about.
ILEETA is more than a conference.
It's not just sharing of academic theories, it's practical application for that research and that information. It's important to have a connection with like-minded people who are going through the same struggles, have been through the same struggles, knowing that you're not alone and that you have people that you can reach out to is something that a lot of trainers need.
This conference will always be the cornerstone. This conference will always be the pilgrimage that trainers take every year to find one another.
So just that connection is a critical component and an important piece of being part of this community of trainers, which is what it is.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, how's it going, Todd?
It's going well. Man, watching that intro and not seeing Brian's name on there,
I know.
I kind of felt like I was in the wrong spot.
Right. I thought the same thing, and he redid it today. Specifically, by now, everybody knows we're missing one person on the screen. Brian Hill is not here with us, and it was weird seeing that intro, and I'm like, wait, there's a name missing here. So
yeah. It's like, what happened? That was fast.
Right.
Well, we didn't replace Brian. Okay, just
No.
so everybody knows, he's fine.
Absolutely. Everybody deserves a night off. And tonight, Brian, I was messing with him earlier. I said, everybody knows you're leaving for Mexico a week early, whatever. But everybody deserves a night off. So yes, you're stuck with Todd and I for just a minute here, but we're going to bring out Raul and get the show rolling in just a second. But we want to do just a couple of really quick updates. Todd, what would you say is the biggest thing happening at ILEETA right now?
Right now?
Right now,
well,
this week.
We got all of the announcements going out about who's instructing, who's presenting. Emerson Hour invites went out. There's all sorts of stuff that's going on right now in preparation for March, and it's super exciting.
Well, I already know who made the list for presenting. Who's on the list for Emerson Hour?
Can't tell you.
Damn it.
Not going to tell you.
Maybe. One of these times I'm going to get you.
Not going to happen.
But what I can tell you is that the instructor list that went out, I'm telling you, man, we spent the last from the 31st and even a couple days prep before that, 31st of October through what was supposed to be, and you even called me out on it during the last ILEETA Live. You said, that's a tight timeline. I'm like, no, we can do it. But through the 10th, and man, when the 10th came, I was like, we're not going to rush to failure. Let's get this as correct as possible. And I don't know if you've had a chance to scroll through that list yet, but
oh man,
gosh,
it is mind-blowing. The variety of classes, just the diverse selection of information that's out there. What people are bringing to the table isn't the same old. There's some new stuff coming, some new ways of thinking, new ways of looking at stuff, some new names that I don't recognize that I'm super excited to be able to get to know and maybe introduce myself and figure out who's next. right? The next group of ILEETA All-Stars. It's exciting.
Absolutely. 30% of the proposals this year were from members who have never presented. And many of those, so there were two different categories of never presented. There was those who were longtime members, and this was their first year presenting. So cool to see some of them finally saying, hey, I'm ready. I want to share what I've learned. And then there was another group that we see, but I know there were more this year than previously who were, I've heard of this organization. I want to be a part of it. Here's my proposal. And from that group, we've got some tremendous things that are in the mental health space, the tactical space, an armor instructor who we've never had at ILEETA before. Groups of people that, like you said, I'm excited. I've coordinated with them leading up to this, but I'm excited to meet them in person. And so that is out, and we're pretty excited about that. Additionally, the hotel, we got the pickup report. The rooms are going fast. And so when you go to the website right now, you'll see that there is a only queen double rooms available. We're working with the hotel and our hospitality partnership that we have with NHS to try to get more king rooms opened up. Either way, though, if you're coming to the conference, now is the right time to get in there and make those reservations.
It sounds like this is the time that if an agency is going to send one, they might as well send two, right? Because you're going to basically, it's the same cost for the hotel room, and those rooms are available, but for how much longer? So now's the time to get on the ball on that.
Absolutely. And there are benefits, and we'll talk about this once Raul comes out, I'm sure, because he came to the conference and, clearly he saw firsthand what it was like, but there's benefits to staying at the hotel. Sure. But just so everybody's on the same page, there are overflow hotels. There are hotels in the area, but I'm telling you, at the $159 rate, you want to stay at the host hotel for sure. That's a given. And then, Todd, you said if you're going to send two, you might as well send two. We've got that advantage to if you send five, you still get that $399 rate, which, that's an incredible rate to attend a week-long conference, over 500 hours of available training. And if you go to the website right now and you look at the certifications that are available, we have a ton of great certifications. Everything from pit instructor is back this year to a lot of less lethal stuff, some really good live fire stuff. So a lot of great things happening there.
It's another example of why we say that the ILEETA conference is the best value for your buck in training. It's like there's nowhere else that you can surround yourself with the caliber of people that our members bring, the caliber of classes, the variety of classes. It is absolutely the best value. And ILEETA just, up the ante even more by creating that $399, 5 or more, full meal deal, value meal thing. That is, there's no better value for the money. It's one of the reasons why so many of us have spent our own money all these years to attend this conference.
Absolutely. And before we move on, there's a couple other things we want to cover. Spending our own money. You mentioned that, and I know you are somebody who came in on a scholarship one year. You've done well now to pay it forward. Combative firearms training. I'm just going to give you a plug real quick, brother. What you do for the membership, as far as, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Todd Fletcher and Combative Firearms, Crystal, and everybody involved in that is really committed to ILEETA, to the point where every class they give away a membership. And how often do you give away a scholarship to the conference?
So Harvey was good enough, and Ray has been gracious enough to continue the process. But every class we give away a membership at the end of the class based on our leadership principles. It's not who's the best shooter or even who's the best instructor necessarily. It's based on our instructional leadership principles. And whoever gets that ILEETA membership also gets a conference tuition certificate.
Yep, absolutely. I love that about the work you're doing.
We buy the membership, but Harvey and Ray, they provide that conference tuition certificate. So
Love it.
we're doing a small part, but Harvey and Ray have been huge supporters of our students, and it's driving people to the conference, being members and being actively involved. The number of people that have been in our classes that come back year after year, present classes, is phenomenal, and that goes right to Harvey and Ray. So
awesome. I love that. And and I knew you weren't going to give yourself a plug. I wanted to make sure everybody knew that the work you're doing there and what that's amounted to. But the scholarship piece of it, scholarships close. If you go to the website, there's information on scholarships. Scholarships close on 1 December. And I can tell you we've gotten a lot this year. So just know that the competition for scholarships is up there. But we're going to do everything we can. We look at some of the most influential members of this association over the years. Many of them came in on scholarships or have been given the opportunity by others. Yes, if you're interested and you have a financial need and you can justify it, by all means, go to that link and get yourself a scholarship signed up.
Yeah, that's exciting. 12 days or
I know,
13 days.
right?
That's less than 2 weeks. That's amazing.
Mine is going
Get here fast.
super fast. All right. So the only other thing that we want to cover is there's with the expo, Jill Johannix and Mary Grace Barbie are working just a crazy amount right now, trying to accommodate all of the various vendors that are coming in. But if you go once again and look at the vendor area of the website, those rows on the outside, the more high traffic areas, they're filling up fast. And we've got a lot of returning vendors. But I have to be honest, I'm super excited about seeing some of the folks that we either haven't seen in a while, have never been, or they come normally and it's a small footprint. I won't give away the exact vendor and partner that's coming. That you're going to see a massive footprint change this year. And I could not be more excited about it. The app is changing hands as to who's sponsoring that, because Caliber Press is doing something a little bit different this year. It is, just so many really cool moving pieces. I don't want to give away a lot of the details just yet, but some really cool stuff happening here.
I love the suspense.
You might. No, I do as well. And I tell you, once in a while, like I'll catch a piece of the conversation between Jill and Ray and what they've got going on back, on the expo side. And I'm so focused on that instructional track and that sort of thing that I'm like, wait, who's coming and what are they doing? And yeah, I'm the same way. And they're like, oh, wait till you see what's happening here. So without any further ado, I don't want to take any longer. I want to play the legal update and then bring Raul out. Is that good? Do you have anything else for us?
No, I'm excited to see what this entails. This is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Very good. Me too. So, all right. So the legal update. A while ago, we asked Dwayne Wolf to start curating a series of interviews and updates on what's happening legally in the legal landscape as it applies to trainers. How can we better train legal updates? And what we wanted to do was not give content, not tell people how to teach it, but have the sort of conversation that inspires that. ILEETA exists to inspire excellence. And so without any further ado, I'm going to bring out a video that Dwayne Wolf did with Anthony Bandiero from Blue to Gold Training and Graham Tinius from NAFTO, the National Association of Field Training Officers. And we love this, having a lawyer and a cop, although, Anthony is a cop as well, former police officer. We love having them on the screen at the same time. Some really great conversation.
To take Peyton and Hardiness with the curtilage and now apply it to warrantless arrests on curtilage. We just had the Fifth Circuit, right, which is Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and they held that an officer talking to somebody that was on their curtilage, and the officer was on the sidewalk, and there was a little bit of a fence between them, okay? And the officer had PC charges. The guy, this is Saucedo, his name was Saucedo, and Saucedo versus Texas. And what happened was Saucedo started to turn around and walk towards his house. The officer then opened up his gate and grabbed him and arrested him. And the court found this was a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment because the officer is entering curtilage, not open fields, not, public place. He's entering curtilage for what purpose? Here is to make a warrantless arrest. And then next question is, did the officer have crew? Did he have consent, express or implied? No, probably the opposite, right? Cecilio's actually trying to go to his house. Did he have a recognized exception? A lot of officers think it's plain view kind of deal. If I can see him, I can touch him. That doesn't work necessarily. We have no exigency. We have no warrant. It's a violation. And it's blowing people's minds.
Yeah. I think I don't know if the Girl Scout rule came out of one of those two cases that we just talked about.
Hardiness.
Yeah, that favorite way to explain it, right? Where are the Girl Scouts allowed to go in order to sell you cookies? And at my house, you'd walk straight up my driveway, and then you'd turn down the little sidewalk in front of my house. You'd come to my front door. If the Girl Scouts are there to sell Thin Mints, I'm not upset about that, right? But if the Girl Scouts are on the other side of my house, looking over my fence into my backyard, that seems kind of weird. If the Girl Scouts are walking in between the 2 or 3 cars that I have parked in my driveway, I think that's kind of weird, right? So I think that's a good way to think about it too. Where do people normally access your house? And what is the normal way for them to come up to your house? Even scumbag summertime solicitors that are trying to sell me solar panels don't cross-cut through my flower bed to come up to my front door. They walk up the path that I've created for them. That's how officers need to think about that as well when they're doing knock and talks, when they're coming to contact someone, is what is the normal route that someone should take to get to the front door to sell me a box of Thin Mints.
I'm super excited for that to go out in the full version. So watch the e-bulletins, the website, and social media for the sign up to go watch the full webinar to catch that. It's free for everybody, including, obviously ILEETA members. We want to share that information with anyone involved in training, but I will tell you, I had a front row seat to watching it. The conversation between Anthony and Graham, phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to everybody seeing that. So without any further ado, Todd, you want to introduce our guest?
Go for it. You probably have his bio sitting right in front of you, and I have failed miserably at that. So
hey, I'll tell you what, I don't necessarily need too much of a bio. What I know is that Raul Rivas is a nearly 3-decade police officer who worked in the Orlando area, and is probably most known for a specific event, but honestly, man, as I read your bio, and I'm just going to turn it over to you here real quick to tell the world a little bit about yourself, but you've done a lot in the profession and you continue to serve with the Florida SWAT Association and some of the work you're doing there. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe and Todd, for having me, man. I can't tell you I appreciate it enough. I'm honored to be here, and ILEETA for having me on. So let me first say that. Just thank you guys for having me. I just a regular dude. Grew up in Orlando. I was born in New York, but moved down to Orlando when I was like 9 years old. So I'm Floridian. I can't do anything below 50 degrees. I freeze up like a lizard, man. I'll stop moving. So I'll lock it up, man. So I definitely got thinned out blood. So ended up joining the police department back in '92. So I'm a little bit of age. You can tell by my beard. Me and Joe, we got the gray beard, and you too, Todd. You look gray up there, man. So joined up back in '92. I was 21 years old. Did a couple years in college, doing some reserve time, and while I was in the reserves, the Desert Storm happened. So I got sent out to the desert, and as Scud missiles were being launched at us, and I'm sitting there with a gas mask on, kind of thinking about the meaning of life and what I'm going to do here in the next couple of years, and find out about police work, and thought that just sounds like me. I get to go have some fun and maybe help some people that at the same time go drive cars fast and put some sirens on. So got real lucky and threw a couple applications out there, and to my surprise, I got hired. Like I said, back in '92. Like everybody else, I go to patrol. I'm 21 years old. I just, I'm real lucky to have a good work ethic, and I put my nose down and went at it pretty hard. after about a year and a half, they took me out of patrol and they put me on the bike squad. So, you know, and this is back like in '94. So the bike squad thing was just kind of catching on, right? And that was catching around the whole country with grants and stuff. So I got on the bike squad, and you can go into some of the worst neighborhoods in Orlando with on bike, and that was really cool. And from there, I went to the gang unit. I was in the gang unit for a while, and you know, even though this is the land of Disney World, we do have some crime over here in Orlando. So people were always shocked that there's gangs in Orlando. Yes, there's a couple of gangs out here. So after that, I went undercover for a few years, and that was great. I was in a task force, did that for a few years, then came back to the road, started training. Became an FTO, and that was amazing work. I think some of the most important work, and kind of gave me the training bug a little bit, you know, doing that FTO thing, being responsible for the information that's you know, being put to a young mind in police work. So did that, really loved that. Became the field training officer of the year, which means I did a lot of work in, you know, some below average recruits, because that's what it takes to become the training officer of the year. You know how that goes. And then you know, got a hint of got the bug in me to go to be a detective, and I did that. Went to the assault and battery unit and ended up in robbery, and same time got on the SWAT team at OPD. Ended up being on SWAT for 18 years, and while I was in robbery, I ended up getting tasked out to different task forces. So during my career, I did the ATF task force for a while, FBI task force, and I ended my career with the U.S. Marshals task force, and just had a blessed career kind of that way. So my career stayed with the money, drugs, and sex, I guess. It's kind of what I did for most of my career. I was, you know, seeing most of the violent stuff, the shootings, worked a few homicides as a detective, worked more on the side of kind of catching the homicide guys. And I was in the robbery unit, you know, from the carjackings to everything just shy of the homicide. So the person didn't die, we'd be the ones kind of, you know, investigating it, unless it was just somebody that was looking to just kill that person for, you know, then homicide would kind of work that. But so yeah, just worked everything just shy of homicide, didn't mess with the sex crimes, you know, that just was not my jam, and bless those people and everything that they do. It's just something I couldn't do. I did the little bit of exposure I had with that was enough, and I've got enough stories to tell you that has never left me over my, you know, I'm 54 years old now, and I still think about the few images that I saw as opposed to what they do day in and day out. So kudos to them. And yeah, that's I retired from the PD in 2019, and from there I went to work for the state attorney's office. I was deputy chief of the state attorney's office, and I was on her protective detail. And I retired from police work in 2022. And what I kind of skipped over there was towards the end of my career, I started kind of getting into the mental health side of things. Ended up having just a great friend. I didn't know the person at the time, Doug Monda, that you know, happened to be in the audience when I was speaking one time, doing some public speaking, and approached me and just kind of asked me about a couple of things I had said during my presentation, and just asked why did I say something about mental health. And so I told him my story, and he told me I need to be telling that story, and took me under his wing. And so from that point, I ended up going to Survive First, which is a nonprofit, and which led me into Lighthouse and other things. So I'm just just real fortunate to kind of doing what I'm doing now, and advocating for mental health and first responders. So that's pretty much what I do now. So is that enough?
That's a great story. You gave us so much thread to pull on, man. We're gonna be that's so yeah.
You know, one of the I think since you kind of talked about your career in brief, kind of as summarized it, and kind of concluded with the mental health side of things. Tell everybody a little bit more about what led you down the road from the bike unit to the gang unit to a UC assignment, field training officer to SWAT to detectives, and then ultimately into the mental health space. What kind of culminated in bringing you to where you are today in that mental health space?
Yeah, good question. You know, as a young man, you know, you want to do the very best you can. You want to be, as I call it now, the tip of the spear. And I always wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing. And I wanted to be the best in the organization. I wanted to be the best in my squad, you know, and so, and I strive for that. I achieved some of it. Some of it I fell short, but I kept, you know, pushing for that. And so that meant, you know, every time there was a hot call, I was going, you know, and every time there was a detail, when I went to the bike squad, I'd make sure I was there. If we were doing the gangs and we had to pick between a low risk gang and I'm choosing the high risk one. I wanted to be, you know, so I kept going in that direction. You know, it didn't matter what it was, the UC stuff, you know, I wanted to be the best. Hey, which one has more weight, which one has the more dangerous drugs, who's dealing the guns and the dope, you know, so I wanted to go after that guy, you know, so, and I can keep going on and I'll give you examples in every place I went. And not just me, the guys around me. I tried to surround myself, and I think they tried to surround themselves with like-minded people that wanted to be the best, and which ultimately led me to, you know, being in the robbery squad and being a go-getter in the robbery squad, and then going to the SWAT team, and becoming a team leader in the SWAT team, becoming an assault guy, and just becoming a veteran on the SWAT team, a guy that people could depend on. And when there was warrants coming up, when we were doing warrant services, when we were at a call out, I was one of 3 or 4 guys that were asked to go number 1, 2, or 3 through the door, you know, and I wanted to be the tip of the spear. So I kept doing that. And with that means you start seeing things, right? You start seeing, the way Doug puts it, the worst in humanity. You know, you start seeing how people can really treat one another, and which is what we do. We sign up to do that, right? So it's not a big deal. And I say this, you know, and this. Let me go back a little bit. I got to a place very late in my career, 2017, that it just became very dark for me, and you know, I couldn't see a way out. Didn't know, you know, what that meant. Just knew that I was not doing good. And I was involved in 6 months prior, or maybe a little longer than that, in Pulse Nightclub, where suspect came in and killed 49 people. And so months later, when I kind of had my breakdown and I realized I need to get some help, you know, I remember going to the therapist and saying that, hey, you know, Pulse messed me up. Pulse was what did it, you know, and you know, I remember kind of hitting the table and telling, you know, fix it, you know, get it done. You know, I just kind of thought there was a magic pill word or some kind of, you know, just, but here's your hour, get it done, fix it, you know, let's get it done. And you know, and Pulse was what messed me up. And first thing is that, you know, I went in there kind of demanding for her to fix it. And she was mean to me. I mean, she just she was like, you know, I don't know what the hell you're thinking, but I'm not the one that's gonna do the work here. You're gonna do the work. And it's hard. It's hard work, you know, and there went, you know, she saw the big red button on my forehead and challenged me with hard work. And you never challenged me with a good time, you know, but she read me like a book, right? So and she said, we're gonna see, you know, what's kind of got you where you're at. And after going through a bunch of work, come to realize that it wasn't Pulse. I was messed up way before Pulse even happened. Pulse may have been that straw, right, that breaks the camel's back. But I was, because and all that found out that it's because I hadn't dealt with anything. I hadn't really talked out loud about the bad stuff. And I know I'm like a lot of cops out there, and especially in our tactical world, guys, we'll say a couple, we may talk about the incident, but you're grabbing the funny out of the incident, we're not really talking about how you felt and the goriness, just the inhumanity of some of the things that you would see. You didn't really talk about how that made you felt, how it made you feel. Hey, that was a really bad call. That was a horrible, accident. That was, the shooting scene, seeing the dead people and the kids and just saying that really sucked. I never really did that, and I'm paraphrasing here. You guys are getting that, but I never really did that. We just kind of, and you hear the terms here. Everybody says, "Hey, we were in the suck it up times." That's what, well, we in my department, we didn't even say that. Like, we just didn't talk about it. And I shouldn't say department, in my circles, because I don't know what was going on in the whole department. We had 800 people. So in my circles, we just didn't talk about any of it. We didn't mention it. It wasn't to be mentioned, and it's just the way we kind of rolled, and so until I went to therapy, I thought that it was Pulse that kind of messed me up. It was that one incident.
So let's back up just a little before Pulse,
sure.
Raul, if you would, with us. So you've gone your whole career and in that suck it up mindset. And I think you and everyone else on this call and everybody watching right now has probably looked in the eyes of folks who are, I got this, they'll make light of it, all the things you just said. Was there ever a point in your patrol days or when you got into robbery or maybe during your field training time where you were sitting next to that new hire where you kind of had one of those moments like, we should do something about this? Was there ever a time before Pulse where you kind of had that inkling or that feeling, or was it only when Pulse came, you were like, no, this is it. This is the only time?
I've been asked that before. That I know. Let me say this. I'm answering a couple different ways. I knew I had heard of some resources around us, CISM and peer support, but I don't really remember them being around. That's number one. And yes, there were a couple of incidents before Pulse where I can remember thinking like, more needs to be done. I didn't know I couldn't put my finger on it. I don't know what, back then didn't know what I didn't know, but I just knew that it didn't feel right. But then again, you look to the left and you look to the right at the people that you look up to. We all have those people in our agency that we look at, and they get guidance from us and we get guidance from them for different, and nothing was being said. So, okay. So yeah, I remember a couple times before Pulse, just some really horrible stuff. I'm remembering one, a man that had been having, trying to be politically correct here, guys. He was having sexual contact with his stepdaughter from the time she was 9 to the time she was 12, and he documented it, and seeing all that, just it ain't normal.
It's not normal, and by not talking about it, that's one of the things that you mentioned is it's just not something we talk about, and that's something I think that we absolutely need to change in our culture, because we all have these incidents that have occurred in our career. We all have some cumulative type trauma. And when nobody talks about it, then nobody realizes that what they're experiencing internally is normal, that everybody else is also experiencing. And nobody wants to be the one to talk about it, right? We refuse to talk about being afraid, and every one of us has been afraid. We refuse to talk about, those intrusive thoughts. We refuse to talk about other ways of coping that are maybe unhealthy. We refuse to talk about these things, and so we feel like we are the only one in that boat, right? And that gives all of us, you included, the weight of the world. You're taking all of our weight on your shoulders instead of spreading out the weight and all of us being able to share it. If we just share what we are experiencing, then we can all start feeling like, hey, what I'm feeling is it may not be normal, but all of us are experiencing it.
Yeah, I very well put, Todd. I think it's not normal, but our feelings about that are normal. We're not alone, right? So that's where I think we got to, keep shifting that dialogue to, hey, what you're feeling is normal. Seeing that crap ain't normal, but what you're feeling is normal, right? 100%. And Joe feels it, Todd feels it, Raul feels it. Now we got to get some skills in how to cope, how to deal with those things, right? And I tell you that one of the things I say to tactical guys when I train around the country is that, it takes a whole lot of training and a whole lot of courage, a whole lot of commitment to make the decisions that we make, whether or not to pull that trigger or not. It takes a lot to pull the trigger. It takes a lot not to pull the trigger. It takes a lot to make those decisions, and we do it split second. But I'll tell you what's even more courageous than any of that is raising your hand and saying, I need some help.
Yep.
Raising your hand and saying, I need some help. That takes even more courage than pulling that trigger and making, and everything I just talked about. So, and I say that because I've sat in a room with true warriors, and the one warrior amongst all of them, the lead warrior, was the first one to raise his hand and speak and said he had something in his head that he needed to figure out, and he needed some help. And because that warrior did that, every man in that room spoke. Every warrior in that room spoke. And I always, I challenge every leader, be that leader. Be that leader, right? And because that's the true meaning of leadership, right? And be that person. Sorry, I mean to preach there.
No, preach away. And I think you've said so much that's of value. And I think one of the things that I often talk about is this series of essentially universal joints to get from the really lofty, well-intentioned folks who are the researchers and the practitioners to where the rubber meets the road. Right. I think you've kind of bridged some of that gap. You have been where the rubber meets the road, and now you're working with where the corkscrew's turning up here and the motor's running, right? So talk to us a little bit about, I want to revisit how do you get to it and that kind of stuff in the room, be the guy who raises the hand. But the resources that you're working with now, you're working with a couple different organizations. You mentioned Doug and Survive First. I was just texting with Joe Ramirez the other day from Lighthouse. So talk to us a little about these great organizations that you're working with.
Yeah, and truly honored to talk about them. So Doug Monda, and I'll go back a little bit. We got a little bit of time here. So Pulse Nightclub happened, and we were getting tasked around the world to do presentations, a debrief, if you will, of the tactical portion of Pulse Nightclub, and it was so many that it was too many. So the commander said, hey, gave a couple of guys start doing some of these debriefs around the country, because we were getting requests around the world. So I always laugh, the commanders were going to, Paris and Sri Lanka. I was going to Tupelo, Mississippi. So you see the difference there. So, and then against Tupelo, Mississippi. But, I would like to go into Sri Lanka, something like that. So anyway, I'm giving a presentation, and Doug Monda happened to be in the audience. Like I told you, he then took me under his wing, and he had found a Survive First, which is now it's like 10 years old. Back then it's 5. So he found a Survive First due to his mental health journey and how he was treated. And he was like, there's got to be a better way. And Survive First is a nonprofit that basically takes the no out of the process for a first responder to get the resources that they need. Right. So and whatever that is. So when Survive First gets a phone call, when I get a phone call from anybody around the country, and I'm proud to say Survive First has grown nationwide. When we get a phone call from somebody around the country, it's the first thing we're going to do is say, Joe, what do you need to get to the next minute? What about the next hour? And we're going to work that way, all the way up to getting you to work to the next week, and then hopefully the next month, right? But whatever you need to get to that, we're going to find it for you and get you there. And another big thing that we do, and I'll not talk too much, is we have the Treatment Assistance Fund, and what that is Raul calls up and I need some help, and I finally have got hooked up with a treatment center somewhere, but the deductible is $2,000. Survive First can help with that, because I will tell you this: I have yet to meet the first responder that is struggling, that only has one problem. I promise you, they've got 15 problems, and a financial one is one of them. Because this is everything kind of spirals. When you have the one problem and it leads to the next thing, financial would be in there somewhere. And when you flubbed it up, you flub it all up. I promise you, so, and what we don't want to have happen is have this person not receive and get on that path, of recovery because they couldn't afford a deductible or a copay or whatever the hell it's going to be. So that's what Survive First does. Real, honored to be part of them. Lighthouse Health and Wellness. This is just an app that just does the right thing for the right reasons. It's basically free, and I say that because you got to do some paperwork, but it's free, and you can get the pay versions, and they're great. They're great. But what it is, it's an app that puts the resources at the fingertips of the end user. So while you're on the toilet and you're struggling and you need some, you can go on the app and you can find the resources in your area, in your backyard, whatever that may be. You can find it, and it's completely confidential. Confidential. Your management, your command staff will never know that it was you on the app looking for resources. And I always challenge people, we're them show me guys, right? You got to prove it to me. So I challenge people, hey, let's put it on the phone and let's take one of the assessments in there. And in the assessment, let's put down that we're an murderer, and we got the itch, and we're gonna go do it right now, and submit it, and then let's wait for the SWAT team to come. Nobody's coming because nobody knows you did it. It's confidential. You just look for the help that you need.
Yeah.
And they're in over 500 agencies around the country. And the owner, Joe Ramirez, is, he's doing the right thing for the right reasons. I got a bunch of different reasons. I can tell you that. Just hope that you trust me that he's doing it for the right reasons. I'll give you this quote that he's always told me. Why are we going to make our first responders pay an exorbitant amount of money to find out about the resources they should already know about?
Absolutely. I've heard him say it. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it's not just the first responder. He makes it approachable for agencies as well. And I mean, I think we could probably, maybe one of these days, Joe is a member and we should have him on here. On a personal level though, every year I go out and I do a hike on New Year's Eve in San Diego. Joe drives down from Los Angeles and hikes with me. And I will tell you that just like I said, the other day, we were just kind of, chatting back and forth. I want to say actually like 2 days ago. And his approach to this has been that, as you just said. So there are some phenomenal resources out there, and there are individuals like Joe and so he's kind of that middle where he makes it accessible. Peer support makes it accessible. The co-responders make it accessible. On the outside, you've got the researchers, and we could go on and on about who they are. But now let's talk about that front line, that person who raises their hand. How do you recommend right now, if you've got somebody who is following in your footsteps, they are in their 15th year of that tip of the spear, want to be the first, second, or third through the door, and they have that moment where they saw that video before the Pulse incident, before the time when they finally say this is enough, what do they do now?
Right. I would first, if they have some type of resource within the agency, a peer support, a CISM team, reach out to those people. They are there for you. If that doesn't work, you can reach out to Survive first. We can, first of all, we're all, we're certified. I'm a peer support person. What you say to me stays with me, goes to the grave with me. And I'm going to at least, again, get you to the next minute. And then we're going to work on making sure you're stable and get you what you need. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about what you need to get to the next minute and find those local, those regional resources for you. Because some agencies may not have a peer support or a CISM team. There are actual resources out there that they do nothing but provide peer support people for you. And sometimes that works better. Maybe you want to reach out to a peer support person that does not work in your agency. We can help you find that, right? So you can start having that kind of steady contact. It's always good to have that face-to-face, get it to be that face-to-face if we can, because it may come a time that me and Todd are going to go shoulder to shoulder and go find the help together, right? As opposed to, me being in Florida and somebody being in Missouri. I can do only so much on the phone, right? So we want to at least make that connection, right? So we're going to start looking for that. And I would tell every agency, you should have this, you should be putting this information out. You should be putting this information out. What do you have in your area? It should not be a mystery to Raul if we have a CISM team, a peer support team, what the local resources are, where the therapists are. I should not be guessing about any of that.
But for some people, because cops are suspicious, right? That's one of the reasons why a lot of them, I think, that's one of the reasons why a lot of us don't go through the Department of Resources, because of our suspicions. Yeah. And so sometimes we need those contacts in Orlando. We need those contacts in LA. We need those contacts outside of our geographical area, just for our own peace of mind and comfort. And I think that understanding that is normal too. Mm-hmm. That's a normal way to feel. Maybe people would be more willing to reach out for that help.
Bring up a good point.
It should absolutely be available within our departments and accessible within our departments, but that we should also be able to help each other with resources outside of our area, just for our own comfort.
And so Todd, two things, and if I forget, I'm gonna come back to EAP. But first thing I'm gonna say is that you're absolutely right. I'm seeing a trend around the country where Orlando PD peer support is making themselves available to Ocoee PD, and Ocoee PD is making themselves available to Orlando. So yeah, let's do that, right? Because we're a little bit less suspicious of the guy doesn't know me, or the guy that doesn't know this agency, and I can talk a little bit more to him or her, right? So absolutely, you're hitting on the head, and some of that suspicion you were talking about comes from EAP has a reputation that precedes them. That reputation precedes them everywhere you go. When you talk about EAP, this is the reaction I get. Oh,
it's a 4-letter word. EAP is a 4-letter word.
Absolutely. And
outside of my agency, I don't have to be the tough guy. I don't have to be Sergeant Fletcher. I don't have to be the firearms guy, the tactical guy. I don't have to be the DT guy. I don't have to be the FTO. I don't have to be the person who leads others, right? I can go look for help.
Yeah.
But within my agency, that's not the mask I put on.
Right.
I want to add this here real quick on the EAP thing is that, and I hear it all the time, and I've traveled around the world actually now teaching this topic to a lot of places, and I hear all across the country that this pushback on EAP. Here's my challenge: is that there are some phenomenal EAPs out there. There really are, but the mass majority of leaders in agencies don't know their own EAP well enough to really speak about it or to have tested it. So here's my challenge to leaders out there is check your EAP. So the first time you call EAP for an addiction counselor for one of your people, and there's a food addiction counselor who is #1 recommended to somebody with an alcohol problem, we've got a problem here, right? So the right time to test it. I mean, Kennedy said, check the roof before it rains or something along those lines, right? The right time to fix it. So get in there, go get the card. The other thing, I was at an agency out on the East Coast where the only place to go get, you had to go get EAP information from the HR office. You couldn't just call a number. Come on, who the hell's going to use that? So you hit the nail on the head. It is a 4-letter word that people do not say in polite company, but the reality is there are some great ones out there, and we don't know it's broken until we test it.
Yeah, Joe, absolutely. The reputation precedes them. They've earned some of it. The EAP has done a lot of work to try to correct some of that as a whole. When you talk about, when you talk to the national people, they've done a lot of work to correct some of it. The problem still exists, though. Like you said, when I talk to people about EAP, I still get the stories about, well, I called them and they gave me 10 numbers to try to call, and 7 of them didn't work.
Yeah. Come on.
That
shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be that hard, right?
And if you're in crisis and you've got to call 10 numbers and the first one doesn't work, are you going to call the second? Because you're probably not going to call the third. And very frustrating.
And I try to, and the EAP national people are great, and that is a huge task to get your arms around. So I'm not, not bashing them or anything. It's a huge task, but it is what goes on. And I try really hard to explain to them, like, look, the courage it took for that officer to pick the phone up and make that phone call.
Yes.
Yep.
And like you just said, that first one don't work.
You're not getting a number 7.
You're not going to get a second chance.
Nope.
You rarely get a second chance at that. And then, and we all know what that could mean. We all know what that could mean.
Besides heart disease, the #1 killer of police officers is suicide.
Yes, sir. So that's, I tell them, I said, you've got to fix at least that. At least when they call, that person that picks the phone up needs to at least hand walk them through the process.
I love it.
And if we can't do at least that, then just, kind of let's move EAP aside and let's just deal with the peer support people, like we were saying, Todd, and put some other things out there, resource wise. because
You may
EAP
have.
is huge. We're never going to get rid of EAP. We should not get rid of EAP. They have a function. They have, and there's some really good ones out there. So I'm not saying that, but they've got to do better. Like I said, their
And you may
reputation.
have one try. You may have one attempt at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a big deal for me. I harp on that all the time. So yeah, that's kind of my EAP thing. I'll let that one go.
Right. No, and I'm really glad we hit that. And I do want to transition to talk about this association that we all love so much, ILEETA. And speaking of ILEETA, Ray Merlin just sent me a text. So if you saw me check my phone, I saw his name pop up. I said, why would Ray be texting me now? He said, here's the issue. You're wearing the wrong gear. We got to get you a Packer shirt, was what he said. He
Yes,
said,
sir. Yes, sir.
yeah. He said, so anyway, listen, looking for a supportive environment. One of the issues we had this year, there were 30 health and wellness, which included a little bit of fitness stuff, but health and wellness proposals for ILEETA. It could have easily become a health and wellness conference, and it does that every year. And I love the fact that ILEETA brings together all of these professionals who are both on that outer edge, the researchers who want to connect with our profession, right down to the dudes like yourself who are at where the rubber meets the road and doing the best they can. And so a supportive environment is ILEETA. Let's talk briefly about your first experience at the International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association.
Yeah, and I've already told you, Joe and Todd, we haven't spoke about this, but I told you before last year I'd never heard of it. Rob was that. I'm trying to think of Rob's last name now. I'm sorry.
Rose, and he's right there. He's in the chat on YouTube, giving you thumbs up, bro. Yep.
All right. Kudos to him. Met him years ago, and he's the one kind of like, hey, you got it. And I remember he'd say it, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard of that. And we haven't talked about this, but I come from a whole different conference called the SWAT Roundup International down in Florida. And that's where me and Rob kind of met, and we just, definitely just clicked. And he kept saying, man, this ILEETA thing. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, and sure enough, I looked it up, hey, that sounds kind of cool. Finally was able to make it, and impressive, sir. Truly, let me say this first. Your vendor show, because I went there kind of in my vendor mind, if you will, first, because the SWAT Roundup thing, right? So second to none, you got a truly professional vendor show. I like the way it's kind of set up, but to the educators part, to the training part of it, just a true class of people, of trainers that are like-minded in that way, just trying to improve what we're putting out there. So everybody's trying to learn something a little bit better than what they have, or learn something just absolutely new, which I thought was just really cool. Everybody is open, and this is something that you don't get a lot. It was really constructive criticism that happened afterwards. I was watching trainers constructively criticize or give instruction to other trainers that had just presented, hey, you could have done this a little bit better. Let me see. And the trainers being open to it, you don't see that a lot. I don't see it a lot at all. That was really cool. And then Emerson Hour was great. Having the tasting was great. I'm just gonna say it now. So
it always is.
It always is. No, it just really.
It's on St. Patrick's Day this year too, by the way.
It's nice.
Yep.
No.
Oh no is right, but oh yes is right also.
The networking opportunities are just amazing. And then first class training. I just about, you covered just about every damn thing. I think I'm trying to go through my head really quick. You about had everything covered, from everything tactical all the way down to, like you said, mental health and all the way back up again. So just really good conference. I had a great time, and it's very well put together. So I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you for the feedback, and we loved it hearing it from you last year. And this year we have a track for pit certification. We're shooting out to 250 yards on some stuff. So I mean, we've got some really cool stuff we're adding this year that we didn't even have last year. Todd, sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was going to say there's some awesome stuff. Just looking through the class list, this coming year, 2026, is going to expand the offerings that ILEETA's ever offered, and it's taking ILEETA to the next level of instructor performance, and I can't wait to see what comes of it.
Nice.
I couldn't be happier with what I'm seeing in that proposal list, and what they're offering there. And just quick kudos to the SWAT Roundup, Florida SWAT Association, and the work you guys are doing there. You're one of the oldest in the business of bringing cops together to do cop stuff. And I think, kudos to the association and everything you guys are doing there. And then on a personal level, because we were going to go out there, a couple of us, and the way your response, just on a personal level between me and you, when I said why I couldn't be there, and your immediate, hey, family first sort of thing. So we're going to be there next year. Somebody from our association will be there next year. Super looking forward to it. But very much looking forward to it. I mean, it's been around forever. It's not going anywhere, obviously. And you are the international representative, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm the international team liaison. So I get to kind of rub elbows with all the international teams that come through, and that's pretty cool. I'm honored that they put me in that position, being a past competitor and just kind of being involved in it for the last 20 years. Roundup's been around for 44 years. I'm going to be in trouble for not knowing the actual number, but they've been around for 40 something years. And it's a training and competition that happens in a week. It's always the first full week in November. I'm going to pump it up a little bit. First full week in November, we get SWAT teams from around the world that kind of come. They come into Orlando and they train for the first couple days, and then they compete to see who the best SWAT team is. And it's really fun. We had 45, 46 teams this year. Again, teams from as far as Hungary, Guyana, and everything in between. So, it's really cool. So just a really good experience. And the purpose of SWAT Roundup, the very first one, it was to get teams together to talk and network about each other's experiences and do some training together, right? And let's not let what this team went through go in vain. Let's learn from it, train on it. And that was the motivation for the very first SWAT Roundup. So we try to continue that every year. We make sure, and it's not hard, because I tell you, I'm truly always humbled by what I see from our fellow SWAT dogs, and how they treat and network with one another, and how they take in each other's experience from the last year and make sure that they kind of take that into their own training and bring it back home, and make sure that they learn from it. I'm always humbled by that. Just in the classroom setting, out in the range when they're doing whatever classes, and just we offer all kinds of craziness out there. And then during the week, during the competition, just to see the companionship, the camaraderie, just really cool. Kind of warms the heart to see that, even though we're trying to win, and hey, Todd, you need this carabiner, here you go. It's just really cool, So I love what we do out there for SWAT Roundup.
Well, I was sorry to miss it. I had the opportunity to get out there, but I had a previously scheduled class in South Texas that I couldn't pass up being able to go out and train with Texas DPS, and so maybe next year I'll be there.
First full week in November. It's not an election year, right? No, so that's the only time it'll change, because election year with the change, right? So because all the SWAT teams are busy around the country. So first full week in November, and the invitation stands. I'm authorized to talk for Florida SWAT. You guys make it out there. We'll love on you and let you see how we do it down in Florida. and see what we can, again, keep the relationship going. So you guys, open invitation for sure.
Cool. We love it, and thank you very much for the invitation. And likewise, it is
Yes,
open.
I'm coming. You ain't got to worry about that. So I'm coming.
Well, we're gonna love on you then when you get there, man. So thank you very much for everything you guys
Yes,
are doing. All right, I'm gonna play a quick video from Jason Durr, our instructor development tip. We'll close out with that. We'll get everybody's real quick reactions to it and get your thoughts on it. And then last word goes to you, Raul. So here we go. Jason Durr with our instructor development for this month.
Greetings, fellow trainers. This is Jason Durr, coming to you from Saskatchewan, Canada. The question that was posed to me is, what is a key topic for law enforcement instructors? I struggled to narrow that down to just one for this short video, but it came to me today after a full day of teaching at the academy. As you can probably tell from the background, I'm recording this in a dorm room at the college. That's because after teaching tomorrow morning's lesson to the cadets, I'll be walking across the campus to a class where I'll be the student. Being a good teacher requires more than just knowledge, passion, and the proper application of pedagogy. It's about a commitment to lifelong learning and continuous development of your craft. Think about how far each of you has come in your own professional development. Did you get there by chance? Or did you make some purposeful choices to strengthen your game and improve your skills? Education is a microcosm of the world we live and work in. In order to adapt and thrive in that teaching environment, it behooves us to constantly update our knowledge of the ever-changing content and the evolving research on how to best deliver it to our students. When instructors model curiosity and a love of learning, they inspire their students to do the same. Our attitudes and behaviors set the tone in the learning environment. If we show that learning does not stop after graduation, students are more likely to develop the mindset needed for lifelong success. And let's not forget professional growth and satisfaction. Continuous learning opens doors to new teaching strategies, deeper subject mastery, and opportunities for collaboration. It keeps our work relevant and accurate. We become part of a vibrant learning community, exchanging ideas with colleagues across this tribe of trainers. In closing, I'll leave you with this quote. Albert Einstein once said, "Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it." If you want to be a great trainer, you need to be a great student. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay safe.
All right. So real quick reaction statement from each of us. I'm going to go ahead and go first and just simply say that what Raul offered a few minutes ago inspired me to say this, is that I love it when instructors are willing to lean in and acknowledge that there is room for growth. As I'm watching the instructors who have submitted proposals and are reaching out to me, many of have said, hey, schedule me for Monday and Friday. I'm going to be there all week. I want to be in classes. I want to get to ranges. I want to go to this place and do this thing because there's room for growth. It always kind of hurts me a little bit in the I only want to be there for my hour and 45 minutes or 4 hours and 3:45 and that's it. No. We have an opportunity here to acknowledge the fact that we can grow. So I want to end with that I love ILEETA for that reason. Just get in there and grow. Todd.
Well, one of the things I want to point out is that one of the reasons why I love ILEETA is because of people like Jason Durr. With what Jason had to say, with the amount of wisdom that just drops out of his face without even trying, it's just amazing to me. Dropping little nuggets like that, like Tribe of Trainers, the Trainers Buffet. It's like all of this stuff that comes out of Jason is just symptomatic of what you get from the ILEETA members. You go to the conference and you surround yourself with the best of the best. he's one of them. And I just absolutely love that.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, over to you, Raul. So a quick reaction to what was offered there, and then we want to give you the last word for the night.
Absolutely. Well, in reference to what was just said, I love it. I mean, I think you have to always be hungry to learn, and then you have to always have the willingness to give back, right? And this is kind of, I say this a lot, and it's just kind of my little world here, but it's great to train. It's great to train, and there's a lot of professional guys out there that take a whole lot of training, but do the damn work and give it back. Go home and give it back. You know, because it does no good for you to go ahead. I mean, I guess it does you good when you go to get the damn training and then just go back to the road, and you know it, but nobody else knows it.
Amen, brother.
Amen. Preach it.
Sorry,
yes,
that's one of my deals right there. I can't stand that when people do that. So give back. So and that's my word about that. My last word in reference to just overall, pay attention to yourselves, pay attention to each other. Be vulnerable in those conversations, because while you may not need it and the guy you're talking to may not need it, it's the guy on the other end of the room that hears it that may need it. You never know who's listening. And that might be the person that needs it, and might be the one that says, I heard what Todd just said, and maybe that's a guy I can go talk to. You never know whose life you're going to affect and whose life you're going to touch.
Yeah.
So that's my last word.
Ripples on a pond.
Yes, sir.
ripples
Absolutely.
on.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Raul. Thank you, Todd,
Thank you,
for
guys.
everything. This has been an awesome conversation. We will see everybody back here on December 17th, and we are very much looking forward to seeing you in just a few months. I don't have the count like Brian does. In fact, he's already going to fire us because we went over. There's a whole thing.
All right.
Anyway,
All
love
right.
you guys. Great night. Raul, Todd, stay on for a quick second.
Yes, sir. Yep. Gotcha.